We now come to the Q&A session. So, Tom, if you could grab a seat over there and collect your olive oils later. We'll stand the check-up. So, Chancellor, if you could join Tom, DVC Community Engagement, Professor Kent Anderson, and Nevin, if you could jump up there as well. Does anyone, Tom, how did you go? What was the last score? Has anyone in the audience got a score? Oh, 89-39, so 15 goals to something just over 6. It looks as though Geelong might get there. No, good news. Okay, these are our speakers tonight, and I think it's a great privilege to have representatives of our Vice-Chancellor, of course. It's a great opportunity to have the chance to ask these questions, and I'm on your agenda as well if you wish to ask me a question. We have a couple of roving microphones, so if you are to ask a question, please put your hand up or stand, wait until the microphone comes to you, and when you ask the question, please state your name, and please be brief in the questions so that we can get a few questions through. So, first question, please. There's one over there. So, yes, coming to you. Yes, Ray.
Thank you. Ray Towse. Convocation raises and disperses funds. Constitutionally, can Convocation hold patent or copyright and invest as a partner in marketing UWA innovations? Because I can't wait for the Convocation Innovation of the Year.
I don't know that any one of us is particularly well placed. Chancellor, are you good at that one?
I think it's one for you, Doug.
Constitutionally, no, I don't know that we can hold a patent. I certainly think that we can be involved in all such things, and our involvement in the Innovation Hub is an example of where we can be involved in innovation with graduates, with students, with staff and so on. Would we be a partner in the value of the innovation? It's something we'd have to take on notice, Ray, and check out for you. One question here.
Dorothy Collin. I would like to ask a question about the university's investment policy. The Senate, as far as I understand available information, approved an investment policy in 2015, which was due for review last month. Within the 2015 policy, there is one reference to sustainable investing. The policy has incorporated a separate university policy on tobacco. There is no other reference to investment in accordance with sustainable principles, and the phrasing is that it is left to the investment managers to invest as relevant. Would it be time to be more specific?
Chancellor?
Well, as the questioner said, the policy is being reviewed, and it hasn't yet come to Senate for final approval, and so I'm reluctant to talk about that in detail. But the policy has been in the past that it's in the interest of the university to ensure that returns are adequate on our investments, but that we should invest in a sustainable way. And perhaps the best thing, Doug, would be if when the latest iteration's finalised, we provide some detail of that in the annual report.
Yes, thank you, and we could circulate it to members via our contacts. Yeah. Thanks, Chancellor. Another question? There's one here in the front.
Rick Stern, this is a question for Tom. Tom, I've been on LinkedIn probably since it's began, and I have one of the latest technology phones. I used to say it was the latest, but now it's probably antiquated because of the Samsung Galaxy S8 and the iPhone competition. It's a Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge. And for the life of me, and nobody has been able to figure this out at Vodafone, when I try to congratulate somebody who has just had a recent appointment on LinkedIn or celebrating an anniversary of some description, it will not allow me to do that on my phone. It brings me to a link that says upgrade your membership, and I cannot get rid of it. And I don't want to join LinkedIn as a full member and pay. I don't want to be a paying member. I just want to congratulate someone as they have done me. I can receive these messages, but I cannot send them. Can you comment on this? Because
It's Rick.
it is.
Rick, the question is about LinkedIn accessibility on your new Samsung phone.
Yes.
My answer to that is you definitely need to be on LinkedIn on your phone, and I would firstly maybe Google the problem.
Okay.
And if you can't find a solution on that, maybe look at a YouTube video that might explain how you overcome that. And thirdly, go into a shop and see someone belly to belly and get them to take you through
I've done all three.
take you through that. Because I don't
That's why I'm asking you.
I'm not a technical person, so I don't think I can solve it.
Yeah. Well,
But if
nobody
anyone
at
else in the
Vodafone
audience
could
could,
solve it.
If we can solve this
I think
collaboratively,
anyone with an answer, please see Rick after
Yeah,
the
please
meeting.
see me after.
he'll be standing outside next to me.
My name is Michael Andrews. On the subject of digital transformation and so on, and riding on what Tom has spoken, as we know that the digital transformation is disruptive, that it's going to cause a lot of work to diminish, and people have to start looking for it. And the question to the panel and also to the convocation is that as a university and also as a group of graduates here, what is our outlook and what plans we have? I do know that we have a Centre of work, Transformation of Work Centre. So what are we doing, and how much is the convocation is involved?
Look, I might take first answer to that as Convocation and Convocation Council. Certainly in terms of the way we operate under statutes, we've been limited in terms of our communication means and frequency of communication. And that's pretty well where we've found ourselves, and knowing that we have to do something to improve it. The only way we can do it is in collaboration with the university and the university systems, and we're working very strongly at the moment to go towards that. So to be able to link with the younger membership, and any graph of our membership versus age would show that the bigger rump is in the younger end, and we need to be there. The university needs us to be there, because if you take the example of the wine function, where we, because of our network, are able to pull together someone like John Gladstone, who really caused the wine industry to move to the southwest and Great Southern 40 years ago, nearly 50 years ago. And he is known to us. I rang him the other day, and he was delighted to be asked and to come along. So the network is powerful at both ends, and it's that we have to do. But we can't forget Nevin's mates either. They're out there, they're young. I'm sure that Hannah knows far, far better than I how to use her phone in various ways. I feel somewhat like a dinosaur there. But I know that we have to get there, and hence the request to Tom to speak tonight. So in collaboration with the university, working with the systems that are there, appreciating the value of us and them, we can get there and we can make a real difference. Kent, I'll throw to you as well.
So thank you for the question. Indeed, I think everyone acknowledges that the workplace is transforming, and we know the statistics. We know that the job of the future, there'll be many transitions, people have many jobs, and we're not quite sure what the job of the future is. The university acknowledges that and is working with it on a number of levels. One of the most obvious is the new Vice Chancellor has set up a partnership with Harvard Business School to deliver online modules through the Harvard Business School to prepare people for the skills to allow the flexibility that's needed. That's one example, but there's multiple examples of it. But one of the things that concerns me personally about this is we've spent a lot of time talking to young people who are coming in as undergraduates, but also coming in as postgraduates. And there's a high level of anxiety about what they need to do. And so hopefully you've noticed some of our messaging is about how we can give you flexible skills and a broad base so that you can be adaptive and so that you can be a lifelong learner. And so those are the kinds of things that I think all of us need to be doing to prepare for the digitally transformed environment we're moving into.
Thanks. Nevin, I think it's probably appropriate for you just to jump in there in terms of the even younger view.
Oh, the transformation around the role of universities, I think moving into the next 5 or 10 years is definitely a difficult one to tackle. Myself, for example, I've spent 6 years on campus, both studying and also getting involved. And I think my main worry is that students will see less of a need to come onto campus, and equally, there is also that need to provide a digitally flexible system so that students that have an array of different commitments are able to, say, study at home and go to work and all of those sort of things. But at the same time, if students don't come onto campus, then they aren't able to get engaged with the many opportunities that we offer outside of class. And a lot of my experience has been shaped outside of class, like getting involved in clubs and societies and the Guild, as I mentioned before. So part of our job as the Student Guild is also trying to find a reason to get students involved through the various different opportunities, whether it be volunteering, a club, or whatever. And that may not necessarily mean they have to be on campus 24/7. It might just be giving them a reason to come onto campus to, I don't know, volunteer, or to even go out into the community directly and volunteer in some sort of organization. So there is that aspect that we are trying to consider to shape that whole student experience. But it comes to online learning, it's definitely something that I support because it does take a lot less, it takes a bit off the plate when it comes to learning and managing the vast array of commitments that students are facing nowadays. It's just a matter of finding that solution to find that nice balance of providing students with an array of digital learning options, but also keeping them engaged in that face-to-face interaction that is important for networking, support networks, and also personal and skill development.
Yeah, perhaps, Doug, I could add a few comments. I think this is a huge challenge for universities. Paul Johnson has made the comment when he was Vice-Chancellor here that he doesn't think, he thinks that half the universities that exist in Australia today won't exist in 20 years' time. Now, whether that's true or not, I think it illustrates the concern people have about universities, how they conduct themselves, how attractive they are to students. You can go online and do a unit of physics at MIT and get some sort of a certificate. And I don't think it's a huge leap to imagine a situation where you can get a degree at a famous international university taught by Nobel Prize winners and so on. And the fact is that university life today is not the way it was when many of us went to university 30 or 40 years ago. When I came here, I came usually from 8 till 6 p.m, except on a Wednesday afternoon. And I worked during the summer holidays to earn some pocket money to last me the next year. Well, most, I think, students now have a job during the week, and so they come to campus occasionally, they work at their job, they do lectures online, they come down for tutes, which have quite a few more students than they used to have 30 or 40 years ago. And the challenge is to make university life sufficiently attractive that they do continue to come here and they see an advantage of getting a UWA degree versus something online. You know, at the moment it's not a huge threat, but I fear it's a bit like a boiling frog. You know, if you don't continually improve what you're doing and tackle the challenge, you'll find there's a bit of a rush in the direction you don't want it. The Vice-Chancellor mentioned earlier the focus here on teaching and in recruiting 50 new academics and making sure that we have performance appraisal across the board here. We lift our teaching game so that we're a great research university and a great teaching university. And that, I think, is one thing we need to do if we're going to attract students.
There was another question down the front here earlier, so if maybe we can, just down the front, second row, Paul, was first. Lady in the middle.
Emma is my name.
Yes.
This is a question for Tom. Video killed the radio star, internet killed video star. Will graphite kill internet star? What will it look like? And should convocation go straight for graphite?
I'm sorry, I missed your name.
Emma.
Emma.
Yeah.
So Emma, you've got a tongue-in-cheek question about whether the funds of convocation should be put into Walkabout Resources in our graphite project. Is that right? Look, I'm into thematics, and the thematic is that fossil fuels will be phased out and we'll move towards a renewable energy economy. Sure, there's some road bumps in the way, like in South Australia, but just look at Britain phasing out motor vehicles by 2040 with electric vehicles. If you look at the gigafactories of batteries manufacturing starting up all around the world, there's going to be enormous demand for industrial minerals that go into batteries, and those industrial minerals are graphite. 85% of a lithium-ion battery is graphite, cobalt, and also obviously lithium, plus copper and some nickel. So we're seeing a big demand in that, but people don't understand graphite is a very common element. You've got coal, graphite, and diamonds all being carbon, and their hardness depends on how much they were metamorphosed. So there's lots of graphite around, but all graphite's not equal, and it's due to the flake size. So the larger the flake size, the more valuable it is. And you can always make a large flake smaller, but you can't make a smaller flake larger. And we believe the larger flakes will find niche industrial applications. In one area in particular, as a fire retardant. For those of you that saw the Four Corners program about the flammable cladding on buildings, that's horrific. Now, if you add graphite to that cladding material, it then becomes a fire retardant, because what happens is the flakes under heat expand and they pop like popcorn, and so therefore it's a fantastic fire retardant. So that's one application we see for our large flake graphite. Plus, when the flakes pop like popcorn, you can then roll it out and create a graphite foil, much like aluminium foil. And we believe that aluminium foil, which is in demand, will be very much a new material that will be wanted in things like phones and TVs. We're not talking about graphene, which is like a one atom thick graphite molecule. We're talking about high value, large flake graphite, which will be into niche products. And I liken this to the revolution in graphite marketing that happened in the wheat industry 20 years ago. 20 years ago, wheat was marketed as a bulk export commodity. And then we saw wheat being marketed for its specific characteristics, in particular protein, and we saw the emergence of specialised markets like the Japanese udon noodle market, where the grains were grown for a particular specification. We'll see that same transformation in the graphite marketing space, where industrial consumers will buy specific flake-sized graphite for very specific uses in high-tech products.
Doug, could I make a request that your next speaker comes when his share price is still 0.1 cent?
I think that's a very sound one, and we'll put it all in there immediately. Look, I'm conscious that the videographer is noting we are just about done with time. I'll take one last question and then that will have to be it for the night.
Thanks very much. This question is no criticism of the...
You hold the microphone up to your mouth, please.
I'm Murray Rosenberg. This question is no criticism of the excellent presentations we've had tonight, but it relates to the use of PowerPoint. And I was reading that old-fashioned medium, the newspaper, in the weekend. Marcus Bradley had a quote, and he said this about PowerPoint. This is really to Tom, and I'm really wanting your comments on this quote, whether you agree or disagree with it, what you think of the use of PowerPoint. And quoting from Marcus, he said, "PowerPoint has sucked the art of entertainment out of the presentation business by empowering the most unimaginative, reclusive, bland, but credentialed introvert to present well." What do you think of the use of PowerPoint or misuse of PowerPoint as a presentation medium these days?
Thank you. What was your name again, sir?
Murray.
Murray. So Murray's question is about death by PowerPoint and how PowerPoint has ruined the art of presentations. And look, I couldn't agree more. And in fact, in reflecting on my own presentation tonight, I probably put too much PowerPoint in and therefore had to rush through it. And what I find is presenters use PowerPoint as a crutch, as speech notes, and they don't edit it down. So the key thing is to edit your content down so that it fits. And the other key takeaway is to think of PowerPoint as a television screen. So that if you put a lot of text on the screen, that's like going back to the 1970s and teletext when that was on our TV screens. And so what I'm finding is that with younger audiences, they want great visuals, they want highly designed visuals and no text. And this is really important when you're speaking internationally, when you're speaking to audiences where English is not their first language. You have to take out a lot of content, you have to customize your content, and you need visuals that a picture is going to be more powerful than 5 bullet points. So in answer to your question, Murray, if you'd like more answers, of course, I've got a whole book that explains that in more detail.
And I think with the energy of that response, we will call the Q&A to a close.